due diligence can influence investment strategies. Adam Kostya, Nasdaq. Patrick Kadlitz, BitBay Bay. Moderated by Joachim Volkner, Baker McKenzie's.
So hey everyone, I'm Joachim Volkner. I'm a lawyer from Stockholm, being at Baker McKenzie. A bit uncertain whether we have slides to access, but otherwise let the gentleman here introduce himself.
Yeah, so Adam Kostya, I head up our listing franchise for Nasdaq. So in Europe, Nasdaq acquired the Nordic exchanges in 2008. So I run and operate the listing business for those 7 markets in the Nordics, and also European companies going to the US. And of course, this iGaming, or the iGaming sector has become a key sector for us on our Nordic exchanges, or primarily Stockholm.
Okay, my name is Patrick Ellis. I'm the CEO of BitBay Bay, which is a part of the group of BitBay, which is also exchange. So we came here to talk about the ICOs because we see that from the perspective of listing those tokens. So it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah?
Great. So should we structure this that, Adam, could you please just tell us about what is Nasdaq doing on Malta, and what do you bring to the table?
Absolutely. Maybe I'll see if I have some slides which I can refer to. Maybe they can put them up on the screen. If not, then basically, I mean, one thing that I was reflecting on when I stepped on stage here is that who would have said that Malta would have become the natural center for iGaming several years ago. I think it's been a fantastic development for this market. It's been very adoptive, quick to adopt this sector, very pro from a regulatory point of view. And then the same thing goes for Stockholm, or the Swedish market, where essentially that has become the natural hub for this sector on the public markets. We've seen a fantastic development over the years in terms of the number of operators, where the know-how has spread very rapidly amongst the different peers, and there is a fundamental critical mass of operators in this space. And as these operators have grown, both in terms of providers of technology, but also operators in the space themselves, we've seen them take on the public markets. And when in 2012, when I stepped into this role, we were still discussing, should Stockholm be the natural place to list? Is it London? Why? Etc. And what we've seen is, since 2012, independent of the sector, we've listed 500 companies and on into the public markets and give them access to capital, give them access to visibility, access to liquidity, not only on the day of the IPO, but on a continuous basis. And this sector was very quick at adopting that opportunity in the public markets. We saw that with Unibet, we saw that with Betsson, and now the latest wave with providers such as Evolution Gaming, Leo Vegas, and we've also started to see international operators starting to look at Stockholm as a natural hub. So Aspire Global from Israel listed on Stockholm and has really outperformed the markets and has a strong buy in the market right now. And I just met Motti and talked about this, where he finds that the Stockholm market not only has a strong equity culture and an understanding of how to support companies and list on the market, but now also has sector expertise. So you have a critical mass of peers, you have a critical mass of investors, analysts, etc., that really make this an ecosystem which is competitive not only from a Nordic point of view, but on a global point of view. So really today we are the largest market in terms of number of listed companies in terms of number of listed companies in the space, and we're seeing a continuous inflow of companies wanting to list in Stockholm, both from the Nordics and also international.
Yeah, great. And let me just echo that. Obviously, looking at this from a legal point of view, we're two Swedish guys sitting on Malta, and we've done the IPOs of Leo Vegas, been involved in Mr. Green, Catena Media, Aspire Global. Obviously, companies with either being Maltese issuers or having significant Maltese operations. So it seems like the road is really open between Malta and Sweden, not only from a legal point of view, but also from a commercial point of view. Do you agree on that, Adam?
Yeah, I agree. I think not many would have forecasted, Brexit taking place. Let's see if it happens, but in what form it happens. But certainly that uncertainty that has surrounded that decision process has not been favorable for the IPO market overall in London. And what we're seeing now is that growth companies are really trying to explore the IPO routes as a strong alternative. And when they see their peers, and of course the critical base that you have here, critical mass of companies, when you see your peers listing on other markets, you start exploring, could that be an alternative for yourself? And I think the Swedish market has started to become very receptive, not only for Nordic opportunities, but for international opportunities, because they see the opportunity in the sector, they understand the sector, and they want to find the best companies in that sector, and they want to bring them to the local market, which is Stockholm, where we have both a growth market, Nasdaq First North, with slightly less regulatory environment, and then we have the main market. And the interesting thing is that we've had 75 companies transition from the growth market to the main market over time. And I think in particular with this sector, I think with the overall regulatory sort of scrutiny that's coming into the space, I think the fact of being a listed company actually adds to the credibility for that long-term play. In addition, I think the other factor which I think is developing in this space, which is natural development, is consolidation. And the fact that you have an asset like an equity, it puts you in a position to really be an acquirer, or potentially as a visibility in terms of the results that you're performing, to be acquired. And we're seeing that now with Mr. Green having a bid on itself from the UK. And we're seeing other providers that are listed with us making acquisitions. So it's really a platform for growth.
And obviously we're seeing all the companies that have been listed in Stockholm from Malta or with Maltese operations, Leo Vegas, Evolution Gaming, Catena Media, Mr. Green, they have started on a smaller market and then moved up to the main market. So obviously a very good platform for purposes of developing.
And I think it's not only we'll come to the ICO piece, but I think the true strength of the Stockholm market is the equity culture that exists there. Fundamentally, 80% of the population owns shares, either directly or indirectly. That means that you have every household engaged about the opportunity of creating wealth around equity. That's a very unique situation if you look at it from the European level, which is typically more debt-driven. And that's really the fundament of what is going on in Stockholm. Then, in addition to that, you have sector expertise, which iGaming has become a leading sector, and where the Swedish market, the Nordic market, is one of the leaders in this space. And we see that with, as you mentioned, Evolution Gaming, Catena, Leo Vegas, and many others that have really positioned themselves as not only players, but growth players with ambition, and where the equity markets and the exchange can really leverage, give them a platform for growth. And I think one more aspect which I think is interesting now is that when you start looking at the US, the fact that you are a listed company, the fact that you are a credible player will hopefully help these companies when they start evaluating whether it's phase 1 or phase 2 in their expansion plans into the US. I hope that the fact that they're being listed will minimize this, or increase the comfort zone for different parties, both the regulators but also the commercial counterparties engaging with these companies.
So Patrick, obviously a lot of focus being on the equity side on the stock exchange in Stockholm. But what about ICOs? How can that compete with IPOs?
So we are we are on the other side,
On the evil side.
Yeah. So I am McKinsey and Nasdaq, so I need to be. Talk about the ICOs that we've gone last year and this year. So as you know, last year was a massive for ICOs, and so for the startups that even they go to VC, asking for $10 million, it would be not possible before ICO. So this trend, I can say, it was really, something extraordinary when you compare to IPOs. So, but because there is no regulations, the 95% of those companies just collapsed in the first 3-4 months after getting the token listed. I think this year, next 2 years, it will be something like a combination with IPOs and ICO, so STO. Security of equity tokens. So I think those two words, like old school, the Nasdaq and other exchanges, national exchanges, needs to combine with blockchain technology.
Yeah, and I can give my sort of view on it, and I think, as an exchange, we look at ICOs very carefully because we see that as an opportunity, but also as a competition. So I think there's a lot of money out there in the markets today. You can raise money both in private or public environments, whether on exchange or outside the exchange. I think at the end of the day, when you raise money, it comes with a responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think the ICO market has challenged fluctuations with a lot of volatility. But then you've also had the responsibility fluctuation in terms of, the credibility in that space has not really grown to become established, and the credibility of leveraging the ICO, it has not really sort of cemented itself. And I think that is a challenge, because if you don't build the credibility, whether it's on the IPO market or the ICO market, that will never be a long-term solution. And I think from our perspective, in this space, I think the ICO could be a very attractive proposition over time, because it's very efficient. The distributed ledger technology that blockchain has to offer is also very sort of transparent. But I think at the end of the day, what I think the ICO really has against itself is a transparency issue. It has a credibility issue, and I think at the end of the day, the ones that are really successful with the ICO are the bigger brands, like when Telegram does it, or etc. So I think it's still yet to be proven as a common way of raising money. And I think to your point about the tradability aspect, because I think if you compare an IPO versus an ICO, when you've done an IPO, you have an equity. That equity is tradable, it's liquid, both for the investor, but also and I think these are key assets that have to be translated into what I know many markets are looking into now. How do you create that liquidity? How do you create that credibility around that platform?
Yes, this is what I want to address. The STO equity is something that if I buy a token from you, if you're issuing the ICO, right now I need to have equity in the space of the new company. But also it's like something coming from the crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Something crowdfunding and the IPO. Yes, and so we need to create something like this, so users can make the equities, but also get tokens. So it moves together.
Listen, we are a big investor in blockchain. We do several blockchain projects. We're staying clear from Bitcoin as far as possible right now. I think it comes with the credibility aspect towards investors. I think maybe one thing that should be done is, from a sector-to-sector perspective, the sector should take responsibility to decide what is best practice within the sector to raise money, if it truly believes that the ICO or the STO could be an alternative. I think if the sector defines what the standard should be, what best approach to have versus that sector or that alternative, then I think that could create, confidence in the market. Right now, independent ICOs popping up every now and then, it is not really a credible way of growing that platform or that way of raising money. But I think there could be an opportunity for the sector to define how are we going to leverage this ICO offering or STO, etc.
Should we see if we have any questions from the audience so far? Time is not running up, but approaching the line. Any questions on IPOs or ICOs for Maltese issuers so far? So otherwise, Patrick, what's the next step on Malta then?
Yeah, so as a exchange, we already doing the license to be there and operate from Malta.
Yeah.
So we think that Malta is the number one in the legislation and in Europe. We will see what happens in next month when countries like Germany or France will also do their regulations in the European Union. This is thing that we're also looking for. But Malta is right now our place to
And to address those challenges which Adam mentioned,
so many things happened. Yes, last year and this year, like KYC now. It wasn't before, the next year. So one thing. Second is the companies want to kind of regulate it, and for the biggest ones are Telegram, for example, $1.7 billion. And it was in private sector. So I think those things need to be listed, how it should be done, and then I think ICO will transform to STO, and some exchanges will take it as a new venture, or a new tool. So for example, Liechtenstein, they don't have exchange, so for those countries, it could be a very good alternative.
No, I think there's an opportunity for many countries, a bit like Malta was very opportunistic and long-term vision in terms of creating a regulatory environment which was created confidence, trust, to build up a base for different growth companies within different sectors. And I think Malta has been very successful in that. And I'm sure other countries will also try the same model when it comes to, cryptocurrencies, etc. I think the last thing the EU should try to do now is to have 27 different policies in terms of how to approach the sector. I don't think that would be too unorganized and opportunistic. So I think creating a level standard playing field is the best approach, rather than trying to create an opportunistic approach around this. That certain countries will be more open to it. We as an exchange are staying quite clear from ICOs right now. We use blockchain as a technology, but we're staying away from ICOs. We think, although we're not operating here in Malta with its warm weather and fantastic culture here, what we have in Sweden is a unique equity culture, and we're building off that. And that's what we're trying to make sure that the international markets, independent of the iGaming sector, but international companies in growth sectors, evaluate Stockholm as an alternative. As the public markets are becoming more uncertain, unpredictable, I think what we have in the Nordics is a unique asset, and I think it should be leveraged and assessed by growth companies going forward. And that's why we work with Baker in terms of helping companies understand what does it mean to IPO, how do we approach it. And it's not only IPO, because if you look at what Aspire did, Aspire Global being an Israeli company, Gibraltar-based, they repositioned themselves in Malta. They then raised 40 million euros on our growth markets, and then did a bond for 25 million euros. And this was further down the line. So that in this space, where you have a very cash flow rich business, the bond market is very active in our space. So we have several of our providers, operators in the iGaming space that have also done bonds as a listed company or before a listing. So I think that's where we want the sector to be in terms of understanding that opportunity, and both us as an exchange and Baker as an advisor are there to talk to companies to help them assess this alternative, because the first assumption is maybe I should do this in London, but my recommendation is until they've figured out what's going on with Brexit, then I would assess Stockholm. It's a bit colder, but the equity market is a lot warmer. So I encourage you to approach us and have a dialogue. And if you feel that ICO is a better alternative,
I agree, and obviously the commercial aspects are there, and the legal aspects are obviously there as well. There is a clear set of possibilities to actually list a Maltese entity in Stockholm. We've seen it numerous times, and it's several ongoing. And for that purpose, we have also, together with Nasdaq and WH Partners, a Maltese law firm, completed a Q&A for Maltese issuers looking to list in Stockholm. So we will have it provided at the end of the room here, so it's available for everyone. And anything to say from you, Patrick, before we end up?
I think the next thing is STO actually.
Yeah.
So ICO is done. Everyone knows how it works. So STO for me as a competition to
we welcome that. We welcome that. I think more participation from an equity point of view, whether it's STO or IPO, is good for the market. But I would approach it and get this sector to really define new adoptions of whether it's ICO or STO.
So thank you, everyone. If you have any questions regarding IPOs, and myself and ICOs, Patrick is ready to go. So any questions before we end up? Great.
Thank you.